We can stay in here. They won't kick us out at noon. We're scheduled for noon, but we have the room later. And then we have rooms back at we have 2 breakout rooms back at the Hilton. So I guess I'm trying to get the sense of the room. Will people and working groups want to spend some time this afternoon, let's say after a lunch break? The rooms are there, we're paying for them. The meeting rooms are there, we're paying for them. So I'm just trying to get a sense so people kind of know. Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm taking a poll. We got one. Yeah, people basically want to do some work in working groups afterwards. Okay, we have 2 rooms, but I'm guessing there's rooms that are open, and I can get other breakout rooms too. Or the larger working groups can go into those 2 rooms, and smaller working groups can go into the lobby, or the room could take 2 working groups. We'll work that out when we get back. Okay, so we're good. That's good. And I think we just got to get Corey's logged in. Sorry. Want to start though? So Andrew and Corey are going to talk about
Well, I might suggest that the germline working group, just speaking to a few people before, we were thinking of just meeting briefly here at the end of this part of the meeting. And since there are lots of people with multiple working groups, that will leave you to go back to the Hilton and get on with your other work. So there had been some discussion about whether we needed to re-vote on the recommendations, but it seems that idea has been set aside. I hope everyone is in agreement with that, and that the germline working group is basically authorised to push ahead as we described. But hopefully Corey's got some slides to remind you of what we intend.
Where's that guy? Go. Oh, you got it already.
Okay, I think this is us. Oh, that's. Can we see that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, as you can obviously guess from the top of the document, Andrew and I are proposing that we continue on as co-chairs, unless there are any objections to that. This is just restating our purpose and mission that we had the other night. Danny's not here to review the grammar, I guess, so we can send it to him later. So I'll just let everyone read that. If there's any questions or clarifications needed, we can address.
Perhaps I might just mention that the plan as it's outlined there in part emerged from, so Steve Kleinstein did the napkin thing again the other night, and we're now proposing to be concrete about what you see there, is to call now for people to submit data if there are genes that they believe they have discovered by inference, so that we'll collect a large bin of data, hopefully coming from different labs, and the working group will build a pipeline for analysis, and the review committee will make the first assessments, and then we'll publish. So our intention is to try and get a publication out relatively early in 2018, so that the wider community knows that this process is now in action.
So, as the document says, obviously the components of that are continuing to work with NCBI and IMGT to sort of formalize this and make sure that data can be submitted to GenBank and TPA, and this can be done relatively efficiently. And then, as Andrew sort of alluded, we have planned to do some test submissions and get together how-to manuals put together so that those can be distributed and people can start doing that and then submitting alleles to us. So I think the plan would be that we're going to try to make a call out to the community for people to start letting us know that they have data that they would like to try to submit through this process. Obviously, there's no formal process by which to do this at the moment other than probably just emailing us. And if it's 50 people, then we'll probably have to step back and try to figure out how we're going to manage that. But I'm guessing it's probably going to be fewer than that. And so the plan would be to sort of take some of those first data sets and come up with hopefully some commonalities between them so that we can maybe even think of a way to have a submission form, that kind of thing. So this is all still a little bit early, but we're going to start trying to assess that immediately. So this is already an announcement to everyone. If you have alleles, you can go ahead and email Andrew and I, but we'll also try via Felix and Jamie to send out a broader call and just sort of see what we end up with. And then, of course, we need to continue to work with. Oh, you want to add?
Yeah, I should say that, of course, the data has to come from a published study, and the sequences need to be full length. And it's true that if we get data from 50 directions, that'll be more work than we can do quickly. But in fact, it will. That is almost the kind of thing that we're after, in that the publication will highlight, we hope, the fact that the first inferred sequences have been assessed and hopefully given some provisional names if that pans out. But in addition, we'll point to the depth of data that we have coming from many different groups, because that's all part of the way we hope to legitimize the process in the wider community, for people to see that this process has wide backing.
And then, of course, as you sort of march down the document here, the idea is that, we have to also formalize kind of how the stoplight system works in reality, and how things will enter the system and move between the stoplight levels, I guess, for lack of a better term, and working hopefully directly with IMGT and trying to figure out, how these will be represented on IMGT and available for download and use by VQuest or any other tool.
Sorry, just before you continue.
Yeah.
Andrew, can you just define what you mean by full length?
Good.
Yeah, we're just talking about the coding sequence, because that's all we can infer from the rearrangements. But the document that is available now with our criteria.
Yeah, so we'll post it to the AIR community website. We actually have a couple documents. There'll be the formal recommendations document, which is more or less reflected in this little bulleted form, and then we can put the criteria document up as well.
So the sequence has to be complete from nucleotide 1 up to the end of codon 105.
Yep.
I understand the question of Catherine, because we discussed with her several times about what the length representative for when it's the genes is already known. It's a new allele, and we have no reason to believe that there is something wrong with this allele. I think what is fundamental is the complete V region. So definitely. So this is absolutely now. For instance, in the data that Catherine showed me, that the L part 1 was partial, but I say, okay, it's acceptable, because already we know that you can see the splicing site. We can see that it's functional, and also you have a part of the VRS. So we know also there is a VRS. So I think the best. But at least it's impossible to define a new infer allele with a name if it's not a complete region. I think we'll go in mess at the beginning, at least. We'll see later, but starting with complete region, I think is.
And then, so obviously, as part of this, we also want to not really formally restructure the working group, but carve off a group of people who will sort of take on the responsibility of simply doing the reviews. Because I think at this point, we need someone to do that, and then we need people to kind of do these other sort of process-based things, such as, Christian working with NCBI, et cetera. And so we want to our plan is to go ahead and form the allele review committee, whatever it ends up being called. There have been some other names thrown around. Steve's been brainstorming for us on that front. And these people would start, and we've already had volunteers, I should say, who have stepped up. So I think we want to get them working as quickly as possible. And then over the coming year, the plan would be to see how that group functions, how many people we think really need to be on call, if you will. And the bigger decision, I think, also moving forward is how this group will function formally, whether they interact directly with the nomenclature committee or they, advise IMGT, or how we set that up exactly from a political standpoint remains to be seen, but it's something that we'll obviously work on trying to figure out. And I think the purpose of this group is that, of the review committee, I should say, is that it will be the thing, as we mentioned on Sunday, that will sort of probably live beyond the term of what this working group is actually doing. So the working group may complete its task and dissolve, but the idea is that we'd be putting this review committee in place for the long term. But I think we still have a lot of sort of research to do to figure out exactly how it's going to work and function. So that's probably one of the bigger tasks that we have to take on this next year. Andrew already mentioned that we want to start collating available data to see what's out there and what we have and how to deal with it. But as has been clear already, we have been focusing the development of the criteria, et cetera, based on human IGHV. I think something that's going to be really important for us to start thinking about is how do we move beyond that, because criteria may change and be different depending on what loci we're in, what species, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of development that's going to be required in that over the next year.
And we probably will move on species of medical importance in 2018. And of course, some of us are interested in other species, but whether or not this working group continues into the future, progressively working through all species or not it's hard to imagine that we will, unless this group widens and we start seeing others join us who can carry that task forward. Certainly, I don't want the responsibility of inferring fish alleles, but hopefully someone will join us and they might begin the process.
So I guess what that means, if we were going to say biomedical relevance, we'd probably say mouse and macaque are the next ones we want to focus on this year. But if people...
And then the bat has been mentioned.
And then the bat, and then I'm sure the camel. You can start rattling a list off, but yeah. Cow, horse, any others? So I think with that, I'm not sure there's too much more to say, unless Felix and Jamie want us to clarify more. And then, are there any things that need to be discussed further or issues that people have? Okay, thanks for your support. I think that was support anyway.
Oh, he's going to make me presenter or something? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I don't think you don't even need to be hooked in, do you?
Oh, yeah, you do.
No, for the monitor? Here comes the guy. Okay. So I've been made, okay, show my screen. No, I think he's. So I'm going to just show a list of all the working groups and their leaders. Then we're going to look at governance. So we've got the 6 formal top-level software with Eric Matson, minimal standards, Christian Bussey and Florian Rubel. Biological reagents, Carnita, oops, and somebody else. And Maggie? Oh, and me.
No, this is the leadership.
Okay, so I just leave it at. Yeah, I think that is. Okay, I'm leaving it at there.
I mean, that's the thing, is anybody, this is proposed, and if anybody wants to add themselves or differently, this is a proposal. This is not like set in stone. Oh, no, I'm wrong.
These are actually ratified. These are all ratified.
Groups, that's right, everybody voted on that.
Yeah, these are all ratified, and I got it right? Yeah. Okay. Common repository, the usual suspects. Data representation, Uri and Scott, and GLDB, Andrew and Corey. So that's progress so far. Thank you all very much. That's ratified. So then I'd like to turn, hopefully, to the latest on the governance structure. I think we've gone over, and there's no real comments on the values, the vision, the mission statement. Ultimately, our motions are to adopt the mission, vision, and value statements, and then to form the section. Have we voted on the adoption of these? What, please? Oh, right, sorry. Yeah. Okay. So we've got mission, vision, and values. I actually don't think we've adopted these. So if are there questions or comments on this first motion?
So maybe Tanya could briefly say a couple of sentences why these are on there.
But what were you asking for?
So I'm not sure, because this is pretty new to most people. So, and there has not been a complete explanation why it's on there.
I thought we went through this.
Twice, actually, but it got rewritten. But I had it on the slides that I gave, and then Tanya rewrote it to make it look more good, and added the list of values, which we then presented the other day. All this in exactly this form. And
It's
now,
Jamie.
yeah,
It's less.
go through it again.
It's less about the content. It's simply the main point that these 2 motions are the only ones that we can right now vote on.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah. So I think
I didn't make it up. So
I think yesterday we left it that people read this and could sleep on it. I don't know that there's been a full discussion of whether that's reflective of all of the values of this community. Those are the ones that I pulled out of the text that Jamie and others had worked on. I think that I think that they're fairly comprehensive just in the context of this community. I mean, you can add other things like excellence, et cetera, but I think this community really is about transparency of research, reproducibility of research, sharing of data and materials, creating a collaborative environment and inviting all who want to play into the pot. So I mean, I think they look pretty good, but I think you need to say. Well, I think ethics usually goes without, kind of without. Sure. I mean, you can. Yeah. So maybe that could go into the vision. So to create a community. So this was the statement that I kind of redrafted, and I'm not sure. Danny's gone. He's the grammar king. So. He would probably have some comments, but to create a community of generators and users of AIR data. So I think you are trying to create a community. So the vision statements are kind of forward-looking of where you want to get to, right? So the mission is kind of the nuts and bolts, or the aims, and then the vision is where you as an organization. They're a bit aspirational, right? And so you're creating a community of generators and users of AIR data. Is it only AIR data, or is it data and materials, right? Based on open access principles. So here I'll be really clear to say that open access does not mean free for all. It's not. Open access actually does come with the ability to put into place governance rules around the use and management of data. So it does come as this aspirational statement that you want to enable that access as much as possible, but within the constraints of ethics and local laws and other interests. So based on open access principles and common standards, I think you've taken minimal out of that. And one of the really important goals of a community like this is standards development. So I don't know. I think that vision statement might need some massaging, but otherwise, go for it. If everyone's happy with it.
My only addition would be, I would suggest that we put somewhere in there something about ethics, because there's so much human data being dealt with here. You could put it as ethical sharing, or you could put it as common legal and ethical standards, or you could put it in the values. I don't know where you have to.
So you could also just put it into the mission statement, right? To advance and promote the generation, processing, rigorous analysis, application. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's not just ethics. I would say compliant with best practices or compliant with ethics. Yeah, so compliant with ethics and legal.
Comma compliant? Comma compliant? No. Yeah.
Comma compliant with.
Ooh.
Someone who's seen this go poorly, I would recommend not putting ethics in the mission or the vision statement. You guys don't want to be the ethics cops. That's a hard job. And also, just as a lawyer, right, you don't want to peg yourself to saying that you have a responsibility to police ethics if you, from a legal perspective, fail in that regard through no fault of your own. I would just not put it in there at all.
I don't know. We're doing all this stuff with indigenous folks, and it is, here's the thing, is that we get this, and I totally get it. I totally agree with it. But there are groups of people who are activists, and there are groups of people who have been sidelined and treated pretty badly with these kinds of data sets.
Yeah.
And if we don't put it in there, that we're going to make every effort not to do that in some simple way, with some single word even.
So actually, I'm gonna change my mind on that mission. I would actually then in that case put it in your values. I mean, just basically, So just basically say ethical conduct of just just put ethical research or ethical conduct.
Or values.
Yes,
Yeah.
ethical
Ethical use of data, ethical.
Ethical conduct in the generation and use of air data.
Yeah, that sounds great. Ethical conduct in the generation and use of their data. Are people okay with
You know those analysis people. Ethical conduct?
Sure, ethical conduct is fine.
Really? Ethical conduct is nice? Is fine?
Yeah, let's just say
It's just
ethical
so
conduct.
broad. I mean,
Yeah.
what if I steal an ashtray from the hotel?
You don't do it.
Okay.
Your parents don't tell.
I'm out. That's
Ethical research.
ethical conduct in research? Ethical conduct in.
Yeah, it's not all research.
So conduct covers every activity.
Okay. Okay, and are we agreed that we'll try to do motion one, because motion one, we want to do motion one whether we join tabs, right? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I was, even though it just says data, should we can or should we add software? I'm just proposing it. Other people better comment on it before we make a change.
Data, materials,
Data and air data and software.
data and tools. But you're starting to talk about antibodies, so you're also talking about materials. So data, materials.
I'm glad we got a couple of.
I mean, some people may not want to share their software, but maybe as a community, we want people to share it.
Well, I mean, do we really have software that's air software?
Yeah, we do.
Oh. Okay.
Perhaps. So perhaps instead of mentioning software specifically, you can also say protocol, because then
Oh,
talking about
data and protocols? And is it, am I in the right, it's mission? Or is it vision? Which one are we talking, mission or vision?
I would put at the mission, at the sharing of air data, materials, and tools or protocols, or because you've got
Data.
yeah, air resources, perfect. No, get rid of data. No, get rid of data.
Oh, yeah. I knew that. Okay.
Do you change the vision statement then too? Because that only just says data. Change that data to resources.
But also in the values.
What's going on here? Yeah, in the values.
Can we keep the values the way it is? Okay.
No, I would put resource sharing.
Yeah.
Kristen's, talk to Kristen. He's doing a better job.
In the values, get rid of data and materials and put resources.
Kristen, you're on it?
Ah, Christian, yay.
How does that happen?
There we go. It's even better.
Okay. Okay. More comments or questions? And as I say, we're good with doing motion one, and then we'll move to motion two again, because motion one is really independent of motion two. So, okay, so all those in favor of motion one to adopt the AIRC mission, vision, and values statements, please give me a show of hands. Any abstentions? Any nays? Great. Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, so we don't really have that many, but this has been up for a while, and there were a couple questions here. Sorry?
So we can't vote on two until we go through all that.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. There's this point here about formal structure for decisions regarding AIRC that formal structure for decisions regarding AIRC, including endorsement of standards. Oh, it's the advantages of joining tabs and
That's just all blah, blah, blah. Eventually, this is going to turn into a constitution all just stuff that we were
Yeah.
telling you guys as to why this was a good idea. This is not
Really,
part of
yeah.
the formal governance structure. You need to
Yeah, why don't we, yeah, we could, yeah, is that okay? I mean, the preamble and the advantages really aren't part of the, won't be part of the document, so, I don't know.
Does anybody want to change any of that? I mean, it's really just, it was there as information to justify why we're doing this in the first place.
Well, why don't we just take it out?
Well, why not just take all of it out? I mean, we don't need any of that. It's not going to be in the Constitution. So
Okay,
all of this now that you're
right.
looking at has to get transformed into a constitution. We're agreeing on the principles right now, and then later on, after this meeting, once the principles are agreed to, we'll write up an actual constitution based on those principles, and that will be sent around to everybody to vote on. And we have to have at least 25% of everybody voting on it. Because we all kind of already agreed to that kind of level. And we need at least 2/3 in agreement, and then it will become our constitution. Does that seem reasonable to everybody? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think we need to.
Yeah, okay. So just moving right into the actual governance structure that will get rewritten more formally, but following these points. Then there's not that many points, but this was brought up, and I thought about this when we were writing it. The whole point is that TABS has agreed that if we adopt this, then everybody who's a member of AIRC can become a member immediately in TABS and in the chapter of the AIRC. And then the idea was every meeting, that registration $100 would go towards your membership. But if like this time, we had a meeting a year and a half. So I've rewritten it here to say the AIRC meeting registration fee will by default include a membership to TABS until the next AIRC meeting. We'll have to run that by Jan, but she's dissolution of the frickin' community. I mean, maybe we should say in the meeting that maybe there should be a statement that we should meet at least within a year and a half or something. Well, we can, yeah. So anyway, that's comments on that. I think it helps, but there might be still, yeah, we really need to meet regularly for this to work. Okay.
Well, the meeting committee part could say that there will be
Yeah.
a meeting. Okay, sorry.
Oh, is Haim in? Oh, okay. I checked. I didn't see any.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good.
Oh, hi.
That's great.
Hi, Haim. Wherever you are
Everybody
in the
say hi,
clouds.
Haim.
I hope you're
Hi,
doing
Haim.
okay and your family's good. Yes. So the thing is that we can add into the meeting part, which is at the bottom, the fact that we didn't put it into the meeting committee, that we're going to have an annual meeting. We just have a meeting committee. That's our one real standing committee right now. And so we can add to that, it says AIRC annual meeting. I'm wrong. So it just doesn't say, when we say annual meeting, do we mean every 18 months, every 12 months,
Yeah.
or whatever? I don't think we need to specify that, though. Okay, so we do
Okay.
have annual meetings. So,
Okay.
and we say it over and over again. So the intent is there.
Okay. Where we were on a point. The point was really, how do we vote? We talk about accept nominations, and we'll put these forward to the members for election by simple majority for each. Oh, but yeah. Simple majority.
What's the problem with that?
Well, but if only 5 people are still there when the leadership is voted on, how many does it have to be? 50% of the attendees or something? That's the quorum question always.
Well, I mean, the attendees are going to vote, right? I mean,
Yeah.
whoever's in the room and
Right.
on the air are going to be the ones.
But if you and I agree, we're just going to do the vote tomorrow and everybody's gone.
It's at the meeting and everybody's here, and it was built into the agenda. You can say that it's going to be put into the agenda. Is there really a problem here? Is this a problem?
Quorum of 20, says Haim. Hi, Haim.
So would it be helpful, and that's probably playing it back to Tanya again, to have the General Assembly at the annual meeting as basically as an entity
Yeah,
of the AIR
yeah.
Society, so that we can always talk about that?
General Assembly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
and
mean
then
that's just the name I made up, but
yeah, and that's good.
whatever term there is for this.
And then 50% of the General Assembly or something.
Well, let's put it this way. I think for the voting that takes place in person here at the meeting, well, it would be good if a lot of people would be there. But on the other hand, XCOM cannot simply defer the vote to another date because
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
it's binding. I think what's really important is for the online voting.
Something like this will define General Assembly, and then a quorum will be a certain amount of the General Assembly at a meeting. Would that work? Yeah, virtual attendance.
It's actual and virtual members, and you're going to fix that word assembly, which is driving us crazy.
In person and virtual.
Yeah, and there's a P instead of a B in assembly there.
Hey, look at that. That was Christian's fault. So a number for that quorum, 25%? Seems low, but okay. I mean, if we change it, we'll. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Felix. So I just had a question about the voting. So right now, I mean, so there are people that are online, and right now we're just kind of voting with whoever's in the room. Do we have a way to allow people like Chaim, for example?
Well, we have in the past, the last meeting that worked really well, and there were a lot more. I checked and I didn't realize Chaim was on. So we do typically have somebody, but right now it's only Chaim. So, but yeah, we have to watch that and yeah. Yeah, they just send it in on chat. Yeah, yeah.
Felix, wasn't Christian's point that this now is the general?
This is the General Assembly.
And so the quorum, I mean, is not 25% of this.
Well, I guess
we're now voting on the executive.
I was thinking the General Assembly was actually the 110 people that registered.
No.
Yeah. No.
Was that what you intended? I think if you announce in advance that at the meeting the society has a formal meeting, that those who attend the formal meeting, the General Assembly, and no one attends except Felix and Jamie, then you do as you like.
I mean, I think
not turning up.
I think in my mind, this is kind of how we've done it. The holdouts and the usual suspects end up for this governance part. I think in the future it'll be more like a normal society where we'll get this. We'll actually have we didn't put in nomination committee, but maybe we should have a nomination committee who could then, when everybody's still here, bring these things forward. We won't have to spend 4 hours because the Constitution will be written and the working groups will be pretty much, you know what I mean? So I think every year it'll be more like a normal thing where you'll have in the middle of the meeting when everybody's still there, a nomination and a vote, and you know what I mean?
So the
General
membership
Assembly is too vague. We don't know what that is.
Yeah, we need to define it. I say define it, yeah.
I think that what Felix said earlier is right, that the membership we've defined as the people who come to the meeting. And so if the quorum is 25% of the people who are registered for the meeting, then that just like Andrew said, that's if only 5 people register, then that's how many people register. That's the membership. So that's fine that's the quorum.
I think so. Yeah. And again, I think I could imagine the next one, we would have this way worked out better, a lot less discussion because we don't have to go through all these governance pieces and everything. And we could have it in the middle, when everybody's here. So. So we'll define General Assembly and maybe 25%. If we do change that, once we send it out once we get it rewritten pretty and sent out, we'll flag that. Yeah, right now that's the. Oh, we want to do attendees? Yeah.
Yeah, can you just say attendees at the annual meeting?
Okay. 25% of that. So quorum is.
Sorry, Jamie. I mean, for me, the conceptual difference is that right now, of course, an attendee is automatically becomes a member of the AIR Society, but I'm not sure whether this linkage will hold forever. So.
Why not, Christian?
Come again?
Why not? Why
Brian
would
was saying why not?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. Okay, so the problem is, or the problem that I see is that it's in terms of finances, it might be not as transparent. Otherwise, I mean, people are simply normal members of the society and pay their annual dues, and that's it. And also, there might be people who simply would like to attend the meeting without automatically becoming a member. So, but then the moment we would have a opt-out option, then it becomes a little bit problematic. So.
People who want to attend the meeting and not be members are free to not vote, I guess.
Christian's worried that then you might be hard pressed.
And then the problem will be that if we then have a quorum, that then a lot of people might not show up, and we might not reach the quorum. So therefore, that's the reason why for me there's a conceptual difference between a meeting attendee and a member of the society. But I really don't want to stretch it that far.
Can I suggest that you try at the meeting, and then if you don't get quorum, you send it out for an online vote as the alternative?
Ooh.
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable compromise to me. I can't imagine that. Well, I shouldn't go that far, but the scenario Christian lays out doesn't concern me too much, and so I think that the proposal to push it to an online vote if necessary seems reasonable.
Not great wording, but we'll worry about the wording. Okay, we're good with that. Any more? Yeah. I don't even know what's going on here. So new working groups can be proposed at an annual AIRC meeting to be ratified by the AIRC members. Yeah, what's Christian? What's going on there? It's your comment, I think, on that yellow guy.
Okay, so then there was a change without a track change. So it said that it can be proposed by two AIRC members or the XCOM. And I think as XCOM members are AIRC members, there was no reason for that application.
I literally don't understand it, so why don't you change it? Kristen's going to change it. I think we might be good. I did mean this to be completely parallel. The establishment of standing committees and the establishment of working groups was supposed to be completely parallel. So we'll work on that. Okay. And then I think we're good because we've gone over the vote for AIRC communications. So I think. Okay, overall comments, overall suggestions. singing a song. So I guess I can call the question. This is motion number 2. Let's just read it. Motion number 2, to form an AIRC section within the Antibody Society subject to acceptance by TABS. This is meant to.
Voting on the go ahead and then the details of the governance structure will be worked out.
Well, I think, but we want to vote in principle on all these governance things that they're just going to be made to look nicer.
Well, yeah, so what you need 2 votes. First of all, you need to vote on the executive that you are going to trust to move forward with the negotiations with TABS.
You mean the nominations and people? That's
No,
next.
yeah, but
Right now
yeah,
we're doing
but
governance.
I'm saying you need that, and then the only you could just change this wording to form an AIRC section subject to acceptance by TABS. To form an AIRC section. Accounting for yeah, it doesn't matter, behind IRC before subject to yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, there, that's fine. Sorry, accounting for the principles that described below. And basically, you don't know that you can negotiate all of those, but they're the general principles that you can use in the negotiation.
Yeah. Okay. We're good with motion 2. To acceptance, accounting for the principles. Thank you. Is Christian on the job? We needed the. If we both do it, though, do we get 2 thes? Oh, within the of. Thank you. Oh. Oh, Christian's on it. Christian got it. Okay, while Christian does this, I'll ask for a vote. So all in favor, raise your hand of ratification.
Aye.
All nays? Aye. Oh, good job. Yay, hi. And any abstentions? Wow, that's really exciting. Okay, so I think the final thing we need to do, and it's a little odd for me to be running it, but we have getting some new leadership here. Well, getting some leadership. So what do we need? We need an executive committee. So we're looking for a chair elect, and up to 3 members. So we'll open up the nominations, but first, why don't we look at the latest version. Can you read this? I seem to be off. Here it is. This is the purpose of the executive. Coordinate communications within the AIRC. So we would meet with working group leaders. The exec would support ratification of working group structure changes. I should probably say working group and standing committee structure changes. Representatives provides a representative on AIRC meeting committee. Coordinate with TABS. The chair is a representative on the TABS budget funding committee and help with fundraising. The BOD. Yeah. coordinate AIRC communication outside of the AIRC, coordinate review and ratification of AIRC communications, publications, recommendation to journals, funding agencies, disseminate AIRC communications to broader community. Do we have that point to the AIRC committee?
I think it should be support dissemination, because I think a working group, they write a paper, it's their paper, it's not the executive paper. So it should say support dissemination.
Support dissemination.
Oh, that's ice.
Support dissemination. I think we're missing. I think we're missing a really important point, which we haven't done very well, and I think the executive needs to, which is, like, we meet with working group leaders, we hear from working groups, but we need to disseminate that to the rest of the AIRC. And we really just have fallen down on that. So disseminate.
It's already written in the structure stuff that we just went through, that those meetings will be at least quarterly with the working group leaders.
But yeah, but that is in.
Yeah, we don't need to put it up there.
Yeah. Okay, so then outside, support dissemination to broader community. So that was beyond AIRC. And then help with funding raising for AIRC. There might be people have some real strong things to add to this.
Just that this is a lot of work, and that's why you do need more than
And just a chair and a chair elect. Yeah.
unless somebody wants to like leave everything else and do
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
It does need more work.
It's all a lot of work. You know, I mean, these working groups are a huge amount of work too. Yeah. But it's amazing how well we've done. So I guess at some point maybe we should ratify these purposes. Any other comments? These look good. Let's see some hands. Great. So that's kind of the ratification of the purpose of the executive committee.
You can't, I don't know if you can see this or you heard it, but everybody's voting if you want to vote on ratifying this thing.
Also, we like hearing you come across.
I'm here. That all sounds good.
Okay, good. That's the best. Yeah. Well, he didn't vote, but I guess he's okay. So,
okay.
We have open, and we're perfectly willing to hear more nominations.
Use the mic, please, Felix.
Sorry, we're at the point for nominating these the executive committee, which would be a chair-elect, executive committee members, and we have a meeting standing committee. We've heard from people that are willing to do it. The idea would be the chair-elect would be chair, if possible, next year. But it should, we have other nominees, or people want to bring nominations from the group. That's not here. Julio, want to get on the executive? No. Well, I mean, okay. I mean, I'm happy to stand for chair, and I think one more year would be good. Chaim?
I stepped away. Were you talking to me? Because it
sounded like you wanted to say something, Chaim.
No, sorry, miscommunication.
Okay. So nominations are closed?
Like I said, I was going to volunteer.
Oh.
Volunteer for what? Either the XCOM or the meeting. But if you think you have enough members, meeting or either the all. Yeah, it's a lot of work to do. I think, yeah, I think it's a lot of work.
Yeah? That works? But you're also getting together with soft.
Volunteer for the meeting committee as well.
Sorry?
Meeting committee.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm embarrassed I can't right now. Oh, Davida. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, Bagnara. Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't worry, Yeah. Oh man, I was so close. Come on. One L, two P's. God, I even did the umlaut. Do I do I get credit for the umlaut? Well, that's great. I mean, the meeting committee is a lot of work. So we're good with nominations? Can we just do the whole what do you call it? Kit and caboodle? Okay, so I'm going to vote to ratify myself and everybody else. Ratification? Nays? Abstentions? And Heim. We want to hear
Aye.
a shout out from. All right, all right. Okay, well, we're good. Yay! I kind of feel we should acknowledge Tom Kepler's work for the years. He's chosen not to be involved now, but I mean it's been really important for up till now, and so anyway, good feelings towards Tom. So now, so how many working groups? We have two formal rooms, Montrose and Twinbrook, and and I think data representation. They're not going to meet, or are they? No. Germline is gonna. It said they were going to work before leaving NIH, right? Yeah. So well, I mean, as I say, I think groups that know they're going to need a room should talk to me because I can go and probably get more rooms. I know I have Montrose and Twinbrook. Sorry. Okay, software.
So Felix, I was gonna maybe throw something out since
Yeah.
we have people from the different groups in the same room. I wonder we should take advantage of having some of the cross pollination across the working groups this afternoon for a meeting. We had some interesting discussions about common repositories and minimal standards. It might be a good opportunity to throw those people in a room together. Just a thought.
Well, that would work in terms of if like common repository and minimal standards wanted to take one room, and if biological reagents wanted to take another room, that might work. Okay, we'll assign common repository and minimals to Montrose because the M goes there, and that means biological reagents is in Twinbrook. If we break now, there was that nice kind of, what was it? That was that nice Ecuadorian or Peruvian. Okay, what's the name of it again? Oh, yeah. So we could, yeah, I think so. La Raza or something. Yeah, yeah. But we can Google it and say exactly again, Jake, please. La Plaza. Oh, Praza. Oh, okay. Prasa. Yeah. I think you guys got it. Okay, good. So why don't we, anybody who wants to, let's go there and then like in an hour and 15. Well, you guys, yeah, some people are going to be working around here. Yeah, how about Jamie? Oh yeah, no. Absolutely. She puts in a lot of the thinking and the philosophy. So, okay, so some groups are going to be working here for a while. Those who aren't having to work will go to this restaurant. And then like 1:15, 1:30, you can start working back at the hotel. Okay? I think we're good. I mean, not through lunch. I don't think through lunch. Oh, you mean, I think you could, but talk to the people, I think. I don't think you want to just leave it in this room. Yeah, talk to the people, I think.
Move the extra day.